Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Good evening and welcome to Plank of the Week. I'm Mike Graham. It's Friday night and, of course, this is the one place where you don't have to worry about judging anything at all because we will do it all for you. We've assembled a cast of characters never before seen in the annals of television history. It is, of course, the famous Jeremy Kyle, the famous Chloe Dobbs, the famous Candice Holdsworth and the infamous Mr Asher Gould. Anyway, Jeremy Kyle, kick us off, please.
Let's start with the Sun's headline on Wednesday is utterly brilliant. Air Farce 1.
Brilliant. Yeah.
It will be no surprise that as Donald Trump flew in to announce that no illegals had got into the US in a month, that's 30 days, Sir Keir is my plank of the week nomination. Two-tier.
Never
Granny
here.
Harmer, Farmer Harmer, never
Granny
here.
Harmer.
The man who didn't turn up in Parliament to prove that he didn't lie the other day. The irony.
Yeah.
He meets Macron and he does this deal where it's one in, one out.
Right.
And it hasn't sort of gone too well.
No.
On Tuesday, of course, the second flight, a flight organised by Air France, had to take off from the United Kingdom to Paris with absolutely no migrants on board. Now, that wouldn't surprise you, only to say that actually the one migrant that was going to be flown back had dealt a blow to Starmer and almost every last vestige of his authority because he'd gone and found himself a Starmer-esque left-wing human rights lawyer and had got a judge to say, you don't have to go back because, and I quote, France is... I'm going to be destitute.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have what I have in the United Kingdom in France. I'm only going to have a tent. So you stay, you poor little man. Is it not ironic that the Prime Minister who's got more trouble than... I don't know what, right? He was the very person who supported these lawyers who have now grounded a policy that doesn't work for him either.
Right.
The man is an utter disgrace. I don't even have to go the rest of the week. He shouldn't even be Prime Minister
He shouldn't be Prime Minister. I'm
And
surprised.
you said it for months. I said on the show, Mike's been going, he won't last a year, and we're all going, come on, Mike, even you. You're absolutely right. I don't see him lasting till Christmas.
No, I don't think so.
One in, one out became 5 million in and bugger all else.
Exactly.
No,
The migrants expect a four-poster bed and a whole medieval experience now. And now the judges say, no, they're right. They won't get that in France. They've got to stay and get that.
I mean,
experience.
somebody said to me, how is it not right that if they go back to France and they're going to be destitute, that they don't have to put them into hotels in France, which is what they're supposed to be doing? Because guess what? If they ever do get anybody on a plane and they ever do get them back to Paris, we're actually going to pay to put them in a hotel in Paris.
But fear
That's
not.
how good the deal is.
Fear not, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know whether to say Keir Starmer, his government, or the Home Office, but at the exact moment that we, or rather our government, cannot in any way deal with illegal migrants, we can't send them back. We're hamstrung. The Home Office this week has hired a religious advisor. Do you know what the salary is? I don't know. Now, the Home Office has advertised for a religious affairs manager to advise detained illegal migrants on how to get married, for God's sake. Now, it's not something you and I
Most of them are already married.
Find yourself a nice English girl, get married, and you'll be able to stay anyway. You couldn't put it past them saying that to them.
I know.
It's a joke.
I mean, marriages are really expensive. I mean, they cost like 50 grand plus, right?
How much?
So if you want a free marriage, just go across the channel, get on a dinghy back, and then you can have a free wedding.
I've never refused to work with anybody, but I mean, if you're going to... 50 grand?
You'll have a migrant hotel reception.
No, hold on a minute. I love you seriously.
I got married, but I've spoken to other people that got married.
£50,000. Are you talking about the actual day, or are you talking about the money that gets taken from you afterwards?
And the house.
And the house.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot more than that. 50 grand is
I
just
mean,
nothing. That's just a dress.
I've got a bit of advice for illegal migrants and for anybody who's thinking of getting married. Just give her the house and sleep with her.
Yeah,
That will be the
exactly.
answer.
Yeah.
Before you even get married.
Or give her the house of multiple occupancy
That's a
that
good
you might
idea.
have, and then you can have as many people in there as you like. Make a bit of
Very
money.
good, Michael Graham.
But the other problem is that the one thing that did happen on the day of the flight on Tuesday, which didn't take any migrants, it took some journalists, one of whom was Thomas Godfrey from The Sun.
Excellent man.
Have a look at this.
The second day in a row, this has been a colossal flop. There really is no other way to put it. The one in, one out deportation plan is yet to get off the ground.
Usa trouve le duty free is what you normally say when you get on the plane to
Presumably
France.
we, the taxpayers, are still paying.
£600 a seat. 600.
Yeah, but they paid £600 a seat. So in The Sun, they showed the pictures of the empty rows of seats because not only are we paying to take the migrants back, but they have to be accompanied by somebody from Border Force. So you're flying two people back.
And they have to be at the front, so they're in the club class or whatever.
Yeah.
They have to be in the front of the
I think
plane.
they bought on each flight. They bought dozens of seats on each flight, and this is for this whole week, by the way, because they were expecting planes to go every single day.
Yeah.
But then they only decided that they would put one guy on the flight, and they couldn't even make that happen. And then they did that on Monday, and then they tried again the next day, and still couldn't do it. And
the irony is not lost on you, is it? That the human rights law in Keir Starmer is being stumped by a human rights lawyer.
Well, there was a time when he was one of the lawyers stopping people from being taken out of the country. Absolutely. And in fact, he was instrumental in getting a guy stopped from going on a flight to Jamaica, who later ended up murdering somebody after he got kept here. But I've got even better news for you, because...
Can it get any better?
This weekend, on Saturday,
yes.
There's a flight coming from France into Britain with, guess what? Migrants on it who have been pre-approved to come here in exchange for the people that we're sending them. And even though we haven't sent them anyone, they're sending us theirs anyway.
And that's how we've become France's Rwanda, basically. That's what the deal is.
So the deal is so good, right? Starmer, you wouldn't want him negotiating the sale of your house, would you?
Couldn't do it.
He's gone to the French, and not only has he given them hundreds of millions of pounds, right? Not only have they not stopped the migrant boats coming, they've now opened up a whole new phalanx of troops coming in from abroad.
Who do you think adds up? Because you remember that Unite the Kingdom march last week?
Yes, we'll be talking about that.
The press, and they all said it's 100,000. It was nigh on 1 million.
Yes.
You've got him and Rachel on accounts. They literally can't add up.
They can't count.
No, she cannot.
Yeah, it was definitely 1 million, wasn't it? I mean, that was like, the Wembley Way. It was like 20 Wembley Ways.
Well, we're coming to that in a second.
Sorry.
We're coming to it next. In fact, let's do it
now.
But
Starmer should go.
But Starmer is absolutely and utterly out of his depth. Yeah. Completely useless. And as people have been saying to me all week, look at his eyes. They're completely gone. He's lost. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Somebody said to me this week as well, on a serious note, if you look at him, right, and we cut the crap and just talk facts, I think he's out of his depth. I think he doesn't smell it. I don't think he can read the room. I don't think he's got a nose for politics. I just don't think he's a political animal.
How did he become a leader?
We're doing him later, don't worry. Let's move on.
We're jumping on.
Chloe, over to the BBC for you.
Yes, well, the legacy media in general, because it's not just the BBC that have been absolute planks with this. This is with regards to the Unite the Kingdom rally, which, as Ash said, probably about 1 million people as opposed to the 110,000.
Look at that, 100,000.
Now, do you think that every single person there is far right? I mean, I don't think so. There might have been a few idiots there, but I'm sure the vast majority of people there, I mean, it was a family day out. You had kids and everyone going there.
I know people that went, right, who are perfectly law-abiding, normal people, citizens of the country, quite well off as well, by the way, and who said it was lovely. People kept bumping into each other and saying, sorry, very British kind of, terribly sorry.
Not nicking your bag? Or
no.
But yeah, anyway, everyone who went seemed to think it was a great atmosphere, but of course the legacy media, they couldn't possibly say that this is anything other than far right. So you had the BBC calling it far right, and then Trevor Phillips from Sky News, actually, he said, I went down and you know what, everybody actually seemed really normal, like normal people. Yeah. And then they put a clip of that on Twitter with his quote saying it was the most astounding thing was how normal everybody was. But Sky News couldn't possibly have that, and they quickly took that tweet down because that was too kind to the evil far right. Then they got a backlash for that, and they put up the clip again, but with saying, here are Trevor Phillips' comments on the march organised by far right Tommy Robinson.
Oh, really?
They had to fit that word far right into the description somewhere.
Of course they did. Of course
they just can't.
Well, let's have a look at the clip.
We've
got that. Here's Trevor Phillips on Sky.
150,000 people crammed into central London, most carrying national flags, the Union Jack, the Cross of St George, even the Scottish Saltire, protesting about immigration, about free speech, and about the decline of Christianity. I spent an hour or two amongst them, and my own impression was that they were mostly the sort of people you'd meet in a country pub or in half-time queue for the loo at football or at a concert. There was a sprinkling of black and brown faces, and the event was brought to a close by a gospel group singing Jerusalem.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was pointed out by Isabel Oakeshott rather cleverly that if that's 150,000 people, that's how many migrants are coming into the country. And so that's what it looks like, basically. So
it's near 1 million to me.
Well, it turned around the whole concept of how many people is it, you know what I mean?
And Sadiq Khan tried to change it. He did change it from Trafalgar Square to another route, which caused real problems. There was too many people for that route. And the Westminster Council tried to cancel some licence for the performance 48 hours before. But credit to the police, the Metropolitan Police, they said, no, we've got to let it
carry until
on.
They said there were 25 arrests, by the way.
Which is
I'm
nothing.
not condoning that, but nobody talked about 500 nearly at the Notting Hill Carnival. The legacy press, whatever you want to call them, did everything they could, but I absolutely guarantee, well, in my world, that was a seminal moment as well. I don't think the British public are going to swallow this crap anymore.
Well, they'll be doing more of this,
They're
right?
not.
Let's have a look at what some of the people down there had to say.
I walked through millions of people today, millions of people, and I did not experience no racism. And if anything, if anybody should experience it, it was me. So I'm saying I'm here on behalf of 83,000 Sikhs that fought for that Union Jack and laid their lives in World War I.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's
Brilliant.
absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? And of course, you know the BBC have got a bit of history here because they themselves have organised far-right events in the past, right? Check this out.
What a fascist event.
I know.
Basically a Nazi
Just
rally.
That still makes me really proud, and that still makes the hair.
Haven't they banned that song, though, because of the slaves bit? Haven't they banned it from the proms now?
They tried to, yeah.
They tried to ban it.
Yeah. Doesn't that make you proud?
Yeah, absolutely.
When I watched that,
yeah.
One of the few good things left in this country, trying to be... I just don't think the left or the institutions are going to succeed anymore. I think there's too many of us. We were assumed to be... When you were talking about Starmer months ago and this station started and all that, or I honestly think a majority of people in this country have had it. I do genuinely believe that.
Do you know, it's the same as everything that we've ever done here, though, you know? Because remember COVID, when we were the only people saying, actually, we think this is rubbish. Yeah. You know, what's going on? Now everybody else is going, oh, yeah, I thought it was rubbish as well.
Who was it who came up with the phrase common
sense?
sense? Was you, wasn't it?
It was me, yeah.
Yeah. Donald Trump used it in his inauguration.
Yeah.
You
Everybody
hear it now
uses it
the
now.
whole time amongst political commentators.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
Used to be a cereal, didn't it, Common Sense?
When the Tories were in, they actually formed a group called the Common Sense Group after what we did. And then before that, of course, it was Brexit, where everybody said, oh, this is a terrible idea, and then everybody went for it and actually voted for it. And suddenly, you know, talk has been right about everything, right? It's great.
But we've got the receipts with all Twitter and everything, so people can't deny it anymore.
Exactly,
so that's
right.
a good thing.
True.
Candice, over to you, another lefty.
Yes. So, I mean, it's the biggest news of the week, possibly of the year, the decade, is the killing of Charlie Kirk, which is very serious. Most people reacted with shock, horror, anger that a good man had been killed.
Yeah.
But of course, there were the people who met the moment disgracefully. And they smeared him. Some seemed to exult in his killing. It was as if they were talking about Stalin or Pol Pot, not just an ordinary Republican Christian man who liked debating, by the way, who would talk to his opponents, not a fascist.
Right.
Anyway, there's been quite a few of them, but I think the most notable ones are Alistair Campbell, the incoming president of the Oxford Debating Union, George Arabonnier, and of course...
Who'd met him about 3 weeks before.
Yes.
Looked him in the eye.
Yes, that makes it even more sick.
It's horrible.
And of course, Bob Villan, who, I paraphrase, said, you talk nonsense, you get banged. Basically saying this guy deserved it. Alistair Campbell accused him of wanting gay people to be stoned to death, which he later had to retract. You'd think he would check before he said something like that.
You would think. We've got the clip. Here we go.
It's important that we don't lose sight of some of the views that he expressed because they were horrific. I remember one clip I saw of him saying that, literally reading the Bible, gay people should be stoned to death.
The problem is he didn't see a clip of him saying that because he never did say it.
Did he retract it?
He put a tweet out saying that he was sorry. He said, I had seen a clip on social media which did not have the full context and I had seen others making the same claim. This is a guy who used to basically run the Tony Blair publicity machine, who was accused of sexing up a dossier that took us into the Iraq War, which in many ways destroyed the Middle East and left us all the problems that we've now got.
Because there weren't any weapons of mass destruction.
And I mean, and no wonder this is the way that he operates. Because
he was a journalist as well. You've got to know about context and all that, being a journalist.
Yeah, but
he's gone
mad, though, because he's gone so far to the left now, and he's got Trump derangement syndrome and Nigel Farage derangement syndrome. And anything on the right, basically, is for him anathema, and he can't handle it.
How come that disgusting pop person, Bob Villan, deaf to the IDF for Glastonbury? I still say this every time I'm on. Lucy Connolly's now out, thank God. Yes. How is he not in jail?
I know.
Exactly.
How is that is a specific example. Lucy Connolly, don't condone the words. 31 months. That piece of crap still walking free.
Peter Whittington Robson, have you heard him talk in real life? He's like, oh, yes, what I think. And when he's on stage, he's like, yes, kill the IDF. You know what I mean? He's one of those people, he's a posh boy.
He thinks he's no end of a rebel. But, I mean, actually, I don't particularly want to see people being locked up for what they say. But, I mean, if you're going to make
an
argument...
When you say it's all right for somebody to be banged... You said it'd be banged.
Yes.
What's the difference between that and saying burn? What did she say? It's
horrible she shouldn't have been locked up at all.
Neither of them should be. We need to get rid of these double standards.
No, maybe not. But you've got to have some consistency.
Exactly.
One of the biggest criticisms
people are fed up
of Starmer is there is no consistency.
No, there isn't. What about this Oxford Union guy? Because you've got a sort of stake in the game there, haven't you?
Yeah, so this guy, the president-elect, he's due to be the president after Christmas.
Yeah.
He met Charlie Kirk,
And
debated
that's
him.
them debating,
You can't
yeah.
see his feet there, but he's wearing slippers alongside his trackies, which is disrespectful enough as it is. And then he posts on WhatsApp on the general committee chat with all his other Oxford Union committee members, Charlie Kirk got shot, let's effing go. And then on his Instagram put Charlie Kirk got shot, lol, celebrating, which I thought was vile, especially given he'd met the man and debated the man.
Right.
And I'm thinking, hang on, you're about to be the president of a society that believes in giving a voice to people with controversial opinions, and you're wishing death upon them. And how on earth can big speakers like Jordan Peterson that go there, how can they trust this man with their safety when they go and visit if they know that the guy in charge is happy to see violence used against the people he doesn't agree with?
Well, this is
he
the
has
thing.
to go.
A lot of people have said that they're no longer now going to go to the Oxford Union.
Well,
take
loads
part
of
in their
speakers
debates,
are pulling
right?
out, and also they are on the verge of bankruptcy. Their accounts show they've only got 2 years left before insolvency, and now you've got people who were thinking about donating money to the Oxford Union saying, we're not going to donate anymore, and freshers are boycotting joining as members and paying their lifetime membership.
You're going to get him out then?
I'm going to try to. Look, he's refusing to resign because he says, well, you've got all of these societies in Oxford putting out statements saying all of us who have condemned him and saying he has to go, we're all just a bunch of racists. We are racially abusing this man, apparently, is what we're being told. It's just us evil, far-right, racist lot.
So it's all right to say a white man who's been shot and taken from his kids and wife, I'm going to bang him, that's OK. But if we dare to criticise somebody that says that, we're racist.
Anyway, if you think that's crazy, wait till you hear what Ash has got for you.
Well, this is reported in the Scotch Sun. An African tribe illegally living in a Scots forest have moved their camp just 20 feet in a bizarre twist after a court ordered their eviction. Members of the so-called Kingdom of Kubala have vowed to stay put last week despite cops and sheriff. Basically, they're claiming their rights. These people say...
When did they come from? No,
it's their ancestral land, Mike. They are from there 400 years ago. They're a Scottish African tribe, and under their human rights, they are allowed... They've got a couple of deck chairs, a table and some nibbles, and you are not allowed to touch them. They're protected, and and they've moved 20 yards away anyway. So, and they are allowed, and that's what's happened, man. So they're still there in Scotland.
Well, let's have a look. I think we've got a clip.
Yeah, we got a bit. Yeah.
An African tribe living in a Scottish forest have moved their camp just 20 feet in a bizarre twist after a court ordered their eviction. Members of the so-called Kingdom of Kabbalah vowed to stay put last week, despite police and sheriff's officers poised to forcibly remove them. The group, who have been living in the woods in Jedburgh and Roxburghshire for weeks, insist they don't recognise any court. The tribe moved into the woods in the Scottish borders town and claimed to be taking back land stolen from their ancestors 400 years ago.
You've been moved from that piece of land this morning. You're now in this piece of land. Is this the land you're going to try and claim as your own land now?
As I have told you, all nations belong to the Kingdom of Kubala. All land belongs to the Kingdom of Kubala. For it was given to us by the Creator of the heavens and the earth. Yes, and we dwell safely wherever we choose to be.
And that's your version, but as we've seen today, that's not the case.
I think he's on the ganja a bit, that guy.
I'm very embarrassed about our treatment of King Coffee Offie. I mean, it's really out of order. Kubala, I mean, this is disgraceful. We've got to treat them with sort of like an embassy. They should be given an embassy.
By the way,
diplomatic immunity.
There's only 3 of them, right? So
yeah, well, you've got to start somewhere, haven't you?
Then you have to have more than 3 people to start a tribe, technically.
They've got branches. They've got branches around the world.
They're in the forest. Sorry.
Jedburgh is a very nice part of the world. It's a great golf course there, actually.
Is. Sorry, apart from the fact that he had what looked like an oversized doily that you used to put a... Sorry, I know you bring me here every week out of humour, really, more than anything. Get the old boy. Is this seriously what we've...
But it cost a lot less than a 4-star hotel.
How did they end up in Scotland? How are they... I mean, Jesus, this is even worse than the stories so far. This has to win, by the way. Are you joking me? How does
it's cheaper than a 4-star hotel, though, isn't it?
I think I might join them, actually. Look how calm and tranquil they look. No job to worry about, no eviction to worry about, no rent to worry about.
Benefits, aren't we?
Probably.
Look at that, lovely.
I think I'm going to join them.
Where is Kabbalah and how did they get from Kabbalah?
It's just 20 miles north of Glasgow.
I think the point about Kabbalah is that it's all around you. I think that's what they're saying.
Wherever you
But they don't sound Scottish. Did they not come from Scotland?
No, they're African.
But so how did they get...
How are they native to that little patch of
Maybe they
forest
came in a dinghy, I don't know. mean, it's possible.
Oh no, there
it?
was a big blow-up thing on that.
All right,
pile of
maybe
rubbish,
they have
so
been there
maybe
for
they
400
did.
years and no one noticed.
I mean, surreal. That's surreal.
That's one of the strangest stories we've ever had on Plank of the Week, I have to say.
I think it's one of the best stories.
It is,
man, yeah.
It is
Got to hand
extraordinary.
it to them. They're still there living in luxury.
You're
Quite
like more
extraordinary.
fascinated.
Also, wouldn't it be great if, you know, whatever you've done in your life, when the police come knocking at your door, you just go, I'm sorry, I don't recognise your corpse.
Yeah, I know I'm living in your civilised society, but you know what? I don't actually recognise anything you buggers are going to tell me. So just do one, because the next thing we'll have is racist to move them.
Yeah. Well, they've moved 20 feet. So,
Human rights lawyers will get involved.
Once they're finished with all the migrants, they'll be
You
straight
said
up
this
to
on my
Jeddah.
show the other day. I'm absolutely on this now.
Yeah.
The first thing that any new incoming government should do is to ban human rights lawyers.
Yeah.
Their ability to twist the law
They
to
should.
suit whatever ideology. I honestly think that's right.
Speaking-
but yeah, the
speaking of
Kabbalah
which-
tribe, that's
Kabbalah could be used as a new Rwanda, and we could put all of the immigrants into Kabbalah in Scotland, and they could just be looked after by them.
Into the forest.
Yeah.
Join the tribe.
They've lots of branches.
Yeah, very
They
good.
wouldn't have a hotel
Coming up,
and a nice jacuzzi, though.
Coming up, the world's greatest human rights lawyer is going to be nominated for Plank of the Week, and also the Mayor of London, and also a guy we haven't had on for a while, not far away from North Korea. This is Plank of the Week.
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Welcome back to Plank of the Week. We've got off to a very fine start, and I'm going to now take you into Downing Street, where things have not been great, I'm afraid. So I don't know if we should have a moment's silence for Keir Starmer.
we hold hands,
You know,
everybody?
we hold hands. Here he is. He's had a terrible. He's had a terrible
Can we
week.
just all hold hands?
In fact, he's had a terrible fortnight, actually, because let's remember, it wasn't more than 2 weeks ago that Angela Rayner was still the deputy. Yeah, we'll start with the reset. That's right. Phase 2 started on the Monday, and by the Wednesday, he was having to defend Angela Rayner. And he said it was a privilege to serve with her, and he hadn't done anything wrong. And then on Friday, she was gone. And then the Mandelson story started, right? And the Mandelson story will be his undoing, I'm sure of it. And it turns out that he was forced to go into the Prime Minister's questions last Wednesday and say that he had full confidence in my lord, the ambassador to the United States of America. Even though allegations had been made that he was a bit more close to Jeffrey Epstein than he probably should have been. And then, of course, it turned out that the very next day,
he had to resign.
Always the way.
But it's just gone from bad to worse now, because he's sitting in this kind of bunker. He's got this bunker mentality. Morgan McSweeney. Morgan McSweeney. Looks like the skids are under him as well. Because
There's a lot of skids.
He's the guy there are.
I think there'll be a lot of skids in 10 days.
He's the guy whose idea it was to give Mandelson the job. He's the guy whose idea it was to push for it, even though a lot of people in the foreign office
was one of Mandelson's little poodles, though, wasn't he? And what also came out this week, which we talked about in the show, I don't know if you know this, was that 24 hours before the reshuffle was announced, Mandelson, don't make any jokes, went through the back door of 10 Downing Street and was seen having a meeting with Morgan McSweeney for hours. And then it begs the question, how much? You wanted to make him Foreign Secretary, a.k.a. like David Cameron. It makes you wonder how much Starmer knows. For me, Wildfall, though, it all is going to refusing to go to the House of Commons. That if he'd had the balls to actually go and say either I got it wrong or actually I didn't know, even I would have thought he's an absolute weasel. Well, that is the beginning of the end.
It's worse than that. He's been accused of misleading Parliament, which is what did for Boris Johnson.
And he accused Boris Johnson repeatedly.
Yeah, he did, because when he stood up, when he said he had full confidence in Mandelson, he also said that all the proper vetting had taken place before he was given the job. That turns out not to be true.
There's a surprise.
And it turns out, basically, that he was only vetted after he got the job, thanks to the likes of Morgan McSweeney, who said that you said taking time off from the pirate
Something wrong with my shoulder.
And he said he'd found out something about that. Now he has got to get rid of him. Whereas it was all known before.
The timeline is so confusing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when he first said that he'd given him the job, he basically said that I knew about his relationship with this guy Epstein. So basically, he was OK with that. He was OK with the fact that Mandelson...
He was friends with a child rapist.
He was OK with the fact that he was a convicted paedophile that was the best friend of the guy he was making ambassador.
Yeah.
So he's already got it all wrong. He's lied to Parliament. The reason he didn't turn up this week was because he knew he'd have to lie again if they asked him the question.
He doesn't like Parliament. He said it. He said he much prefers Davos and places like that. He finds all
the... as I said earlier, he's out of his depth. So genuinely don't think he's got a nose for it.
They can never just put their hands up and say, we got this wrong. I mean, on other matters as well. So, I mean, for example, with the economy, they can't say, actually, we made some mistakes and we've messed it up. They're assuring us, oh, we had the fastest growth in the G7 at the start of the year. It's all going great. And then with the winter fuel payment, when they U-turned on that, they didn't just put their hands up and say, look, this was misjudged, this was a bad idea. They said, we fixed the foundations with the economy so well that we've now got some extra cash to give you your winter fuel payment back. And
it's just lies, isn't it?
Do you really think we're going to buy this?
It's a tissue of lies.
I think that the issue that I keep saying about why I think it's about to change massively, and whether that involves reform or not, I just think that BS doesn't get swallowed by the British public.
They think that
just don't think
the finances will collapse at some point.
I think politics in general. I think, and I keep doing, and I apologise. Once the silent majority realise their voice matters, any government's screwed, Ash. And I don't think that this BS will last on either side anymore.
Don't you think, is the system going to have to change, or will it just stay as it is?
I think the system won't change immediately, but one of the things as well that's really shown him up to be a weasel is that, you know what he was doing in the beginning of this week? He was seen for the first time ever in the Commons tea room and in the Commons terrace talking to MPs, which he's previously been accused of never doing because he thinks he's too big for that.
You are a dead man walking when you do that.
Exactly. And so he's that ridiculously kind of self-absorbed that he thinks that's going to make any difference. That people are going to, oh, hello, Prime Minister, we've never seen you in here, but thanks for coming in. Now we're going to back you.
He got in by saying to the unions, I'll give you whatever, quietly. He got in by saying to the British public, I won't raise taxes. He promised everybody everything. And now, actually, the view from the cheap seats has proven to be quite difficult. Totally out of his depth. And I'm not, the Tories were appalling. I wanted him to make it better. This country is on its arse, and he is absolutely...
He put it there.
But as you said, what's the alternative? Ed Miliband's the most popular cabinet minister amongst Labour members. David Lammy. I suspect Nigel Farage would prefer this idiot to stay in power for a few more months.
It gets worse, though, by the way, because in the middle of all of this, and we're going to show you a clip in a minute of him justifying what he said about Peter Mandelson, he lost his top strategy chief as well.
Oh,
you forget about this guy called Paul.
I want to ask you something about this.
Sexy text about Diane Abbott.
Sexy text about...
I'm going to say I'm going to be cancelled again. You have to hand him some credit, this bloke, to creatively be able to find something sexy to write about Diane.
Well, he was playing a game...
Jeremy Corbyn's
got a game of I think it was Shag, Marry, Avoid, or Shag, Marry, Kill, or something like that.
Which one was she?
Well, this is the trouble. He was very, very disrespectful to her and made reference to a couple of sex acts that might be involving her. So, I mean, he had to go. It was 7 years ago, right? He's the obvious sort of shoe-in for the winner this week, but I don't know. As you say, the African tribe may give him a run for his money.
I think that's right. He's smiling because he knows. Look at the end. He only agreed to appear.
Now, Jeremy Kyle.
Can I give you a man who hasn't been Plank of the Week for at least a day? Sir Sadiq Khan. I can't call him sir.
No, we don't call him that here.
No.
He launched a rather scathing and fresh attack on Donald Trump as the US president began his unprecedented second state visit, which was, of course, confined entirely to Windsor Castle because they were concerned about outrage. And love him or loathe him, we say it every time on Plank, don't we, and on Talk in general. The one thing from my point of view about Donald Trump, love him or loathe him, he stood in front of the American people, said, this is what I'll do. They voted him, and he's bloody well doing it.
Yeah.
What wouldn't we wish for in this country?
Well, the number of people that sent messages in to me this week to say if only he was our president.
I can't believe this man has been elected twice. And shame on Londoners, actually, because only 1 million people voted for him last time. If you don't like this man, who's more interested in himself, I think, than you, get out and vote next time. I think he's a disgrace.
He is a disgrace. And he's also become this week the highest paid UK politician, believe it or not.
On what?
£170,000 a year. Wow. And the rest, of course, because he's got all sorts of, expenses that he gets paid.
He's got green Range Rovers, though, hasn't he?
He's got a bulletproof Range Rover, I think, which he takes his dog for a walk in.
It's that big, the car he takes his dog for a walk in it.
Yeah, it's that big. Thank you very much.
It's a Vogue.
I see what you did there.
It's the larger one.
We got a clip of him talking about the far-right rally of the weekend.
Now's the time for us to come together as Londoners and proud Brits to reject the far right, as we have done many times before.
It's like he doesn't see what's going on around him, does
he? Does he assume that those 1 million people... And I thought you nailed it earlier when you said there might well have been 100, 1,000 people who we wouldn't want to associate with. But if you are honestly telling me that he doesn't see what the other 99.99%... He'll be out as well.
And black and brown people were welcome there. He's trying to suggest they weren't. There was loads of people there.
What about that amazing Sikh gentleman that said... I'd love him to talk to Sadiq Khan.
Where was the low? Everyone's fascist. Everyone is a fascist. It doesn't matter if you're just like right of centre, you are a fascist.
But that ends with Charlie Kirk getting shot because they won't speak, you know what I mean? They're just... You know, that's
and Sadiq Khan and Keir Starmer and the BBC and everyone, they're all upset about the fact that 25 people were arrested at this march, which had probably about 1 million people, right? Where's the condemnation from Sadiq Khan about Notting Hill Carnival, where you had around 500 people arrested? Some for some
all the pro-Palestinian marches, they've arrested 900 people. Like that.
But what they've done is they've seen 25 people have been arrested, therefore the whole lot of them must be far right.
Also, only about 8 of them were actually charged in the end, so it wasn't even 25.
But that was my bugbear about Southport, because it suited, I thought, Starmer's rhetoric after that, to not let out what they knew, let it build, send the police, call them far right, send the police, arrest them, try them, whatever. I go back to what I said 5 minutes ago. It's not going to wash anymore.
No.
He cannot win it.
Well, there was a police report after that said they weren't far right busting from out, they were locals, and so it just totally blew Starmer out the water. He was just proven to be a lie by the police.
It's like when he took the Epping thing back to court. We're not talking about the far right, you idiot. We're talking about mothers saying, I want to protect my teenage daughter, when there's a hotel full of men, one of which sexually assaulted, allegedly, a girl last week. You idiot, Starmer. You're again not reading the room. This man, I
think he knows as well that his time is coming.
Maybe he's looking at Starmer's crown.
Well, I mean, there are people who would like to see him out of being Mayor of London, but not certainly in charge of anything else. They just want him out of politics. But I don't think he's got, a bit like Andy Burnham, he hasn't got the experience, he hasn't got the cojones, he hasn't got the sense. He's not very bright.
I think the Andy Burnham thing is interesting. The Lord of the North, they're making all these arguments about how he could ride on a horse to Westminster. The truth of the matter is, because of who he is...
But he'd be a bit quicker than the train.
Well, probably not. He'd have to win a seat in Manchester. And if you look at the Reform polling, there's no way he would win a Labour seat.
And also Reform will win the mayoral seat that he'd have to give up. So
and there was a cover-up report of the grooming gangs in Manchester. I think he was involved with that.
Well, I remember when Andy Burnham was an MP, he wasn't that good. You know, the idea that he was this kind of, genius.
You don't have to be that good. I mean,
now he's gone to
Starmer became leader.
Yeah.
But they all spoke about Starmer as if he was the second coming, and look how dismally he's done.
Did they though? Was it almost by default?
So it was because
there was no other choice. There was no one else.
People I knew in Labour thought he was amazing. They were like, "Oh, Keir Starmer, the human rights lawyer," and that's why he thinks so much of himself.
That allowed Jimmy Savile to go free.
Yeah.
But is he that delusional? He doesn't realise how bad it is now. Do you think he's that delusional? I
think so. Because nobody's talking to him now. Because down the street, it's literally like nest of vipers. We're all going around stabbing each other in the back, which is a bit like what Peter Mandelson. No, Chloe, over to you. Let's talk about Kim Jong Un.
Kim Jong Un. So first in North Korea, they decided to kill all of the cats because the cats are too Western, and now they've decided to ban the words hamburger and ice cream because those are too. Yes. A burger for you Brits.
Is it a word hamburger because they haven't got a word for it in North Korean?
No. You can't use the North Korean version of that word because that's too Western. So you can't have a cat. You can't use the word hamburger. You can't use the word ice cream because that's too Western, apparently. I mean, we don't hear that much from North Korea these days, but then the odd thing that does come out is just absolutely bonkers.
The strangest thing about Kim Jong Un is that when he was a younger man, when his dad was in charge, he lived in Switzerland, I think. He was educated in Europe. And one of the things that they said he loved doing was eating lobster, drinking very expensive French brandy, and watching Rocky films.
I bet he got bullied, didn't he?
I think he still does all that.
I don't know. I mean...
He's over here driving for me now. I don't think he's in North Korea.
I mean, it's a very strange place, North Korea, isn't it? I mean, there was that moment. Do you remember when Donald Trump in his first term went over there and made friends with him? And they had, he wears very odd trousers.
They're trying to make their tourism industry big now. So they've set up all of these resorts and whatnot.
Right.
And at the moment, they've just got people inside North Korea going and visiting these. But it sounds like they may actually open them up to Westerners to go and visit and go on a nice.
You can go for a week with a monitor, and you have to kiss the statues of all the three leaders and all that. Yeah.
There was a guy who he did a marathon in North Korea. Yeah. He found a way to get a place in this marathon in North Korea so that he could go in and see it.
Yeah, I spoke to a guy who went over there and just did a kind of a week's tour, like you suggest, and they give you somebody to travel with, basically, who's a spy.
And they check your cameras after to delete
and they have to. You're not allowed to take certain pictures.
I know a couple of journalists might go for that.
Yeah. Why not?
A journalistic
trip
to North Korea.
Yeah,
I know people who've gone. It used to be like one of those edgy places that you go and visit and they take you around from China.
Yeah. And you go...
It's like a film set. You don't look up the side streets, you just look at these actors, you know.
And then you see the demilitarised zone where you can watch the people from your mirror over in South Korea.
Isn't he planning on his 12-year-old daughter taking over or something? Do I keep reading this?
I don't know. I haven't read much about North Korea.
Imagine a 12-year-old running North Korea. 12-year-old with a red button.
She'd probably be better than Starmer.
Yeah,
he's got a daughter.
So she'd probably do a good job over here, wouldn't she?
Yeah, absolutely right. Anyway, listen, we're coming up to the next section. The next one is, of course, Brace for Rights, Donald Trump in town, and also a school in Lincolnshire which is offering TV to pupils as long as they turn up for school. Absolutely unbelievable. Plank of the week.
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Welcome back to Plank of the Week. I'm Mike Graham, and this, of course, is the home of common sense, and we are here for your delectation. We've had some fantastic nominations already. Candice, over to you. You've got some protesters for us, right?
Amazing examples of plankery. So Donald Trump's here. He's on his second state visit. And there's a whole little crew of people who've assembled themselves, the Stop Trump Brigade.
Yeah.
And they're like, he's the end of Western civilization. He's a fascist. We're going to defeat him. And guess who these people are? It's Zach Polanski, the hypnotherapist turned actor turned fringe politician, and Jeremy Corbyn, who never met a crackpot regime he didn't like.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was...
Apart from Hezbollah and Hamas, obviously.
Exactly. If you were assembling an A-team of people to save Western civilization, I don't think these would be the guys.
Right.
It's kind of giving
Who's that other mad woman?
vibes.
Is it Zoe Gardner?
Yes.
Who's gone completely over the top. She actually produced a video for the Stop Trump campaign, which had made up sort of future stories in it of people being arrested by, like, sort of, thought police and, people being banged up into prison.
Is that Polanski the Green leader?
He's the guy...
He can make a woman's breast
the big guy.
Yeah.
I might go along to this protest.
I'm going to get into trouble.
I might come back with double Ds.
Well, I can't possibly comment on that.
I think he should have hypnotised his dentist if you look at his teeth, but there we go. I could be wrong.
Maybe you can hypnotise Jeremy Corbyn and make him even a bigger tit than he is already.
Back to you, Chloe. There we go. Hey!
Anyway, listen, we've got some protesters ruining a gala dinner for some Republicans in Windsor.
Just give me a minute. I'm knackered.
Oh, yeah. And free speech is what you believe.
I'm nearly 50.
You respond to free speech by trying to kick me in the balls.
That's Andre Walker, isn't it?
It is Andre Walker.
Yeah, we're just beta testing how to remove guests from the studio.
I want to know how Andre Walker got into a room that well dressed.
Is he now doubling his salary by acting as a bouncer or something?
Yeah.
What was this?
It was his party. He put that on.
Did he?
Wow.
Yeah, he put it on a party for the Republicans because he knew it would be a bit of a money spinner. Got a few in, and now he was spoiling his party.
Sorry, he knew it would be a money spinner.
Yeah, he knew it would be. He's an entrepreneurial character. He also did it in the name of politics and freedom, of course.
But he should have spent some more money on security, would be my advice.
Well, he did it himself, didn't it? Yeah, he does
Yeah.
look a bit like a bouncer.
That's one of the reasons why most of what's going on in Windsor is not going on in front of anybody, is it? It's all kind of behind closed doors.
Did you see what they've streamed on the walls of the
castle?
Yeah, they've arrested the people for it.
Right.
Was
that those idiots led by donkeys? Because they normally project stuff onto the walls.
I do think it's quite funny when people, like when they projected the lettuce of Liz Truss on Parliament when she went down, and then when Reform projected their membership counter on CCHQ, that was quite funny.
From the River to the Sea wasn't very funny, but it was Gail Porter's bottom that made they made a law about it.
I remember that.
Do you remember when they put it on Parliament?
That was Loaded magazine.
I don't think it was the bottom.
It was her bottom.
Well, it was a full length sort of
the whole length of Big Ben. And it was even bigger.
Did you look up and see it? You looked as if you did there.
I went like that.
But I mean, but that's the other problem with all these protesters. We got led by donkeys who were this massively kind of, anti-Tory organisation, and so every time anything went wrong, or they'd make fun of Nigel Farage or Liz Truss, they're not saying anything about Starmer and how the country's been wrecked by this complete.
It's not how I got news for you. Never slag off the. They're meant to slag off the government, but they still, you know.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Well, it's like the BBC on a regular basis. We talked about them earlier, but I mean, on a regular basis this week, when Starmer's been right up to his neck in the most awful, sleazy scandal that he's been involved in, they're leading on Gaza.
But isn't it interesting that whereas that would have probably mattered because news and television in general has changed to online and YouTube beat everybody else in the last figures for television, as we all know, it's not as important as it was.
No.
Everybody knows what Starmer is. We're still talking about the BBC won't kick the boot. Of course they won't. I reckon there must be institutions, the length and breadth of this country. I said it earlier. Politicians, organisations, institutions quaking in their boots about
they're in denial,
what they know is going to happen. I'm convinced.
They're all in denial a bit.
They are in denial. Ash, over to you. A school in Lincolnshire.
Yeah, well, this is a school in Lincolnshire and it hasn't got a very good record for attendance. So they're offering, if you go for 2 weeks solid as a kid, you get entered into a draw and you might win a 40-inch television, a smart TV. In my day, you know, since they got rid of capital punishments at assembly, it's real discipline's gone right down the drain.
What are they giving a telly for?
If you turn up
for turning up for 2 weeks, if you win, you get put in a draw.
Amazing.
It's only 40 inches, though. How do you survive without...
Do you know the thing that surprised me about that story was that the 40-inch TV they're giving away was made by some company I've never heard of.
I thought that.
And it's only 150 quid's worth.
Yeah, well, I thought that because kids are very cruel and it's made by High Tyson, which I've never heard of.
No.
And kids are ruthless. They'll take the mick out and bully the kid for having a High Tyson 40-inch smart TV. You want a Samsung or an LG.
Why don't you just go to school without having to be bribed? Shall I tell you who I blame? You'll think I've lost it completely.
Yeah.
The bloody parents.
The parents, yeah, of course.
It's absolutely
But if it's under
outrageous.
150 quid, they may as well go out and shoplift it because you don't get done under 200.
Yeah, exactly.
So make it a bit more. And they
So
won't...
you're now saying to kids, just go and
shoplift it. No, don't, although you
turn
won't
up to
get
school to
charged with
shoplift.
anything. Head teacher Austin Shepherd defended the initiative, telling The Sun raising attendance is a massive priority. We'll just beat the kids like they did in my day.
The shepherd is interested in looking after his flock.
We're looking to raise it again this year. And they're making more rewards. It's like family fortunes at this school.
You could have it like a generation game. You know,
And is this a
spin
state?
a bullseye. Decide by the time the board's spinning around if you're going to go for Bully's special prize.
And is this a state school? Is the taxpayer paying for the TV?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's Boston. Yeah, it'll be a state school. Yeah. It won't be a
What a
private
waste.
school. They'll
What a
laugh
waste.
at a
No wonder
14-inch
taxes
television.
are going up, giving out free
Private
telly.
school, it'd be a 75.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
LED, what are you talking about?
sound
I don't get out of bed for less.
Yeah, exactly.
That is ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, man, unbelievable. But I mean, I don't know what it's like. You've got younger kids. What it's like at school? They can just do what they want.
I find myself. I've got kids of all ages. But
You've got all ages. Yeah.
I have, but when they first, Alice and Ava came back home and they go, we get our homework via email and we don't have to go to class, or they'll send different.
Homework's racist.
Right, coming up, we're going to be talking about Ed Miliband. He's one of the fun. I've got a very, very special mention of a very interesting story. One of the stories of the week, actually, but it's not technically a Plank nomination, but we'll come back after this.
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
So we're into the final furlong of the show. We've got one final nomination, and it's no surprise to anybody that it's going to be Ed Miliband this week. But I've got one special mention to make before we get to that, because we like to have a special mention. This is for a particularly unusual doctor who works for the NHS. His name is Dr. Suhail Anjum. He's 44 years old, and he was in a tribunal this week because he'd been reported for basically stopping in the middle of an operation that he was doing, because he's a surgeon, in the middle of the operation, to take a break.
I'm just off, actually. That's all right.
Not to go for a wee or anything like that,
again.
and not to make a phone call, and not to check that he was doing the right thing, but to have sex with a nurse in an adjoining room, right? She was apparently waiting for him. And the strange thing is, she was called Nurse C. She was not identified. To which people said on my show, was there a nurse A and B before you got to C? I don't know.
Was that part of the procedure?
Well, apparently...
Was it a C-section?
Well, we could have well been. He was caught in a compromising
I
position.
did not know you would say that. I was like, gone out to do what?
Yeah. So he was...
Imagine, like, you just hold on a minute. I just hold with I'll be back in.
Yeah, and you go, how long...
It's all right, I'm back now. It's been 3 minutes.
It stops his hand shaking, though. It's better. It gets him relaxed.
But also, how long does the anaesthetic last? I mean, anaesthetic might wear off if you're away for too long.
Stick some more in.
But this is what was happening, right? He was caught in a compromising position with his colleague who had her trousers around her knees and her underwear on display. Nothing's happened to Nurse C, by the way. I'm not quite sure how she's got away with it. But Medical Practitioners Tribunal hearing heard the steamy sex session was initiated at Tameside Hospital in Greater Manchester on September the 16th, 2023. He's an anaesthetist who qualified in his native Pakistan in 2004 before moving to the UK in 2011. Now, the strangest thing about this story is that he had pleaded guilty. So he admitted the allegations. He admitted that he'd gone and had sex. He left a vulnerable patient unattended in the middle of an operation, placed his own interests before those of his patients and colleagues, right? However, officials considered there was to be a very low risk of the behaviour being repeated. So they've let him go back.
What?
So he's got his job back.
And he had a fag after, which is the worst bit.
Yeah.
In the operating theatre.
Yeah, I know.
Really
Absolutely.
But actually, the thing here is
you?
we're almost like, who's the anaesthetist?
Yeah.
So 2 questions. So he obviously topped up the patient so that they'd be all right just for half an hour.
So actually, there's no
but
problem with it.
was the nurse conscious?
Yeah, well...
Was Nurse C conscious?
Well, somebody said to me, it brings a whole new meaning to the NHS is on its knees, to be honest.
Hey.
And also, the doctor will see you now. Will he?
Come on in.
He will see you now naked.
I feel like after hearing that, I never want to be knocked out by anaesthetic by the NHS.
No.
They might do something to you whilst you're knocked out.
Well, I mean, probably more of this goes on than you would think. I mean, we've had previous cases of terrible things
It's
happening.
just like, leave it. Just pump a bit more in. Yeah, it should be fine for half an hour. I'm not to shag.
Well, he only needs to be there at the beginning and the end, doesn't he, really?
It's a bit like sex, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You know, just turn up.
Yeah. There's other nurses involved in this story. There's a nurse...
What, they were involved? It was more than one person?
A nurse SK was left in charge of the patient.
Dominatrix.
I don't know what she was dressed as. And then there was a second staff member called Nurse NT who walked into the next door
trousers.
operating theatre, right, and found him doing up his trousers, funnily enough.
You know what Nurse SC stands for? SK stands for, don't you?
Yeah. Thanks for that. Nurse NT was shocked and very quickly walked through the theatre before returning to Theatre 5. I mean, shouldn't they be using these theatres to actually do operations on people rather than shagging everybody all the time?
Where's the Hattie Jakes?
No wonder the waiting.
Gone, you know,
no wonder.
That's what we need back.
Yeah, it's no wonder the waiting lists are getting longer, is it? Anyway, so that's my special mention.
That would have won. How is that not in the thing?
Well, it was a late entry, I think, was one of the things. Thank you very much indeed. See what I did there.
MG, I love that.
Thought about withdrawing it, but all of that.
Right, enough.
Anyway, Ed Miliband, the man who cannot be moved, right? There he is.
Swivel-eyed loon, if you ever saw one.
The guy who was asked
It's a lovely day to stuff the money down the side of a mattress and go,
pay your taxes.
dog now here. Look at that.
It's ridiculous. But he's the guy who Keir Starmer tried to move in the reshuffle. Said we want you to become the new housing Secretary of State for Housing in Angela Rayner's position, and he refused to go. So he decided he wants to stay as the net zero chieftain, right?
And Jürgen's boss.
And we heard from last week that he's got a second home in Doncaster, right? And in the second home in Doncaster, he has a gas boiler, even though he wants all of us to give ours up. And not only that, but he charges his electricity and his gas bill to us, right?
And he's doubled the amount of council tax he's charging us.
Well, it's worse than that. He's doubled the amount of council tax he's charging us because he's also billing us for that. So in March of this year, he put in a receipt for £3,285.90 to cover his council tax bill in Doncaster, which has gone up by 108% from the same point last year because the government have doubled council tax on second homes, right? He basically is continually a recidivist here. He continually charges all sorts of tax bills to us. So we're paying not only his electricity bill, we're now paying his council tax bill as well. And he sits there telling us how net zero is the answer to everything. Anyway, what a terrible state of affairs. Well, listen, we've reached that point where we have to decide who's won. And I mean, it is a very big political week, but we gave it to Mandelson last week, but I think the African tribe.
It's hilarious.
I mean, you can't beat that, can you?
So it's
there they are, the Kabbalah tribe.
The king of Kubala there celebrating his human rights victory in the forest.
In his crochet top.
I love the fact that the police are all sort of huddled in the woods watching them. It's like, what do you think they're going to do?
In the middle of this Scottish forest. It's a kingdom. Look.
It's almost a kilt he's got on there, though. Look.
I love his jingle bell stick.
He's got a sporran round his neck.
Are you sure that isn't where Father Christmas hides?
I mean, do you know what I mean?
They are in Christmas colours, actually.
They're very dignified.
You know what? They've probably come up from Birmingham or somewhere. And they're just pretending to be from Africa.
Yeah, I think I know him, actually.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Unbelievable stuff.
That is the best.
So there we are.
Well done, Ash.
So hang on.
That's like the plank of the year.
So it's plank of the week.
Well done, Ash.
The Kabbalah tribe. But maybe actually it's the Jedburgh police who should be the planks because they can't seem to do
he's
anything
playing
about
blind, the King Kabbalah.
The King Kabbalah.
Yeah, he's playing the blind.
He can't be moved. It's absolutely brilliant.
No, the police look scared of them.
Anyway, so...
The police are probably thinking the tribe might suddenly spear them and cook them for dinner.
Wow.
Probably. Yeah, well, that'll be the end of this show.
Yeah.
Jeremy Carr, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Chloe Dobbs, Candice Holdsworth, Ash Gould, well done for winning it. Plank of the Week will be back same time next week. See you then.